Carole Hakko is a fairy godmother, or as close as you can get to one anyway. She makes wishes come true, and not just any wish, but wishes of those that really need it. She is the head of Bir Dilek Tut Make-A-Wish Foundation in Turkey, whose sole purpose is to make severely ill children's dreams come true. Children who face life-threatening diseases. A little boy wants to meet a pop star? Done. A little girl wants to become a princess? No problem. No wish is too big or too far-fetched for them, and Carole Hakko makes sure they get exactly what they wish for. Hello, this is Biril Elhadef. Welcome to Women of Turkey. Today I have a very special guest, Carole Hakko. Carole, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
It's my pleasure.
Carole, may I ask you, you're originally from Britain. How did you end up in Turkey?
As with a lot of foreign ladies who live in Turkey, it's due to our husbands. He's Turkish, and so we came to Turkey.
Right. Do you know what you wanted to be when you were a little child, when you grew up?
Yes, strangely enough, it was unusual because I know a lot of kids don't know what they want to be. I was always, at about age 15, when we were told to start looking for careers, I was always interested in the arts, but I was also very interested in medicine. Not enough to be a doctor or a nurse, that was definitely too heavy for me, but I was interested in it. So I did some research and I found that there was a profession where you could mix illustration and medicine. Medical illustration, and I found that you could also do photography, and I really was interested in photography. So I pursued medical photography as a career.
What is medical photography exactly?
It is taking photographs in a medical environment. It's not X-rays, it's not things like that. It's basically taking photographs for publication, for teaching other students. I mean, if you imagine that you have a skin problem and you're trying to describe it, oh, well, it's red, it's raised, it's spotty, it's whatever. If you have a photo that it describes, that will show what the problem is. So doctors use it, doctors and surgeons use them to show before and after. They use it to train the students. They use it when they give conferences abroad, if they want to make publications. So there's a real need for it. However, it's a very unknown type of profession.
Right, and it's not like you make exhibitions out there, but within the professional.
Definitely you wouldn't want to make an exhibition out of it, no.
I would have loved to show some pictures, but...
I think not.
All the blood.
No, I think not. It's definitely not. And the first operation I ever did, I actually passed out.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, because I was only 17 and I was trying to pursue, and it was actually a childbirth, and I got in the room and I heard the noises, and the next thing I knew I was on the floor. So I had to train myself to be okay for it, and then I was fine. But it. Yeah.
What do you feel when you are taking a picture in the
I'm fascinated.
room?
I think I'm really a frustrated surgeon, actually. But I'm fascinated by it. I find it really, really interesting. I don't see it as a person in the operating theatre. It's a body, and it's bits and pieces, and it's mechanics of making them work properly. And I just love it. I mean, that really interests me.
Right. Now, you are a medical photographer, but most people know you. Retired medical photographer, but most people know you from Make-A-Wish.
Yes, I know.
Now, have you always been into voluntary work?
Yes, when I was living in England, I used to go to Great Ormond Street, the Children's Hospital, which is Great Ormond Street Hospital for Sick Children in London, and I would go and play with the children while they were waiting to have X-rays or any tests, because it's a nerve-wracking time for kids, and they need to be played with so that they don't worry too much. So I was working there, and then when I came to Turkey, I did basically the same thing in one of the SSK hospitals here in Istanbul. And while I was there, the children would ask for certain things. You know, they'd ask for all sorts of things, but one of them was asking me to visit. He wanted to meet a pop star. And coincidentally and very luckily, I knew one of these guys. So I phoned him up and I said, hey, there's this child, he's really not well, and he would love to meet you. And so he said to me, I would gladly come as long as there's no press involved. So, of course, well, I won't tell if you won't tell, And then he said, okay. And he walked into this teeny-weeny ward, and he walked in singing. And the children, the nurses, the mums, it was one of those spine-tingling moments. It was really lovely. So I did that, and that was really cute. And then another little child wanted to meet a footballer, and I don't know, again, by chance, I knew the doctor of the team. I arranged that. Took about 3 months to do that. Showed me it was not so easy. And the footballers came and they gave balls and, you know, the what do you call it?
Jersey.
That's it. I know the Turkish word. I don't know the English word. I did that one. And it was after that I said to myself, there is something in this and I don't understand what. And I was speaking to a friend, and to some friends, and they said to me, but that's Make-A-Wish. And I went, what's Make-A-Wish? I had no idea. And this is in year 2004. So I did some research on the internet and I found out what Make-A-Wish was. And I phoned England. Being English, I'm comfortable. I phoned England and I believe in coincidences a lot. And this is one of these very, very much coincidental things. I phone England, and the guy that picks up the phone was actually the chairman of the board of Make-A-Wish International. He was an English guy, and he happened to be in the Make-A-Wish office in the UK.
There's a coincidence, and then there's a coincidence.
That was a big one, and that's sort of the meant-to-be one. And so when I spoke to him, I said, that's it, I want to do Make-A-Wish Turkey. And he said, great, this is what you have to do. And obviously, I had to get in touch with Make-A-Wish International, which is based in America, and we had to go about setting up a charity. In the meantime, I was speaking to another close friend who said to me, but it exists in Turkey. Not as Make-A-Wish, but the Turkish equivalent, which is Bir Dilek Tut. And so I said, really? And obviously I didn't know anything about it. But I found out where the lady was, and I went to visit her and asked her, you know, how she was doing and what she was doing and blah, 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 blah. To cut a long story short, she'd been doing it for about 5 years. She hadn't had any contact with Make-A-Wish as a group. And she was doing basically the same thing. She'd based it on what Make-A-Wish was doing.
But it wasn't affiliated, basically.
Not at all. It had no affiliation. And she was, after 5 years, she was at the end of her sort of tether with it because she had very few volunteers, no sponsors. And really, it's very difficult if you don't have that sort of support. So she then called me back and said, would you take over? So it was the most logical thing to do because the charity was established, because setting up an association in Turkey is not the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of legal stuff that you have to go through. So I took over that charity in 2005. And then from 2005, we've been running. You know, we've been running with it. I mean, for me, it's very much we are trying to run a business that happens to do charitable work.
Right.
Because it's not something that you can play at. I mean, I know a lot of people may think, you know, they're doing charity work and, you know, have lunches and sit down and do it. It's not like that, not if you want it to work. It really is hard work, and you have to work at it in a very organised way. You know, we have 6 professional staff here. That has to be funded and worked out, and we have to run like a business.
Right, very professionally.
Correct.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about what Make-A-Wish does?
I was going to say that's a good one. Make-A-Wish was set up in 1980 after a little boy wanted to be a police officer, a little boy called Chris Grecius. And his mum and a couple of police friends made his wish come true to be a policeman, and he rode his bike and everything else. And that was in 1980. And
in the States?
In the States, in Phoenix, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And it was after that wish that the Make-A-Wish Foundation in America was set up and started. Since then, it has grown and grown and grown, and we are now in 36 countries all over the world, all doing the same thing, the same mission, the same cause, the same methods. You know, obviously each country has its own different approach to things, but generally the same rules apply, and our mission is the same. And what we do is we grant the most cherished wish of a child between the ages of 3 and 18 years old who is suffering from a life-threatening illness. That's the mission, the cause.
How does the process work exactly from, let's say, application of the child?
Okay, well, children can apply to us in various ways. They can apply on the internet, online, as we're now in a technological stage in life, so they can apply online. Either that, or they can telephone us to the office. It's either the child or its parents or its medical keeper. So it could be a doctor or a nurse, the child or its direct parents' family, who can apply to the charity for a wish. When they apply to us and they give us all our details, we then get in touch with the child's doctor to confirm that the child actually has this illness and is that fits the medical criteria that we have, because it is life-threatening illnesses. So we do have a list of criteria they have to fulfill. And once the doctor has actually given his approval, then volunteers from the charity, at least 2 of them, will go and visit the child, preferably in its house, and they will interview the child to determine what is that child's magical dream, what is their biggest dream, because we really don't want their need.
Right.
We really want them to dream crazy and, I want to go to the moon. Yeah, okay, well, maybe we can't do exactly that, but we will do the closest thing to it.
Right.
So we want them to think outside of the box if they can, and then we... Okay, so then we've interviewed them, then we come back to the office and we plan the wish, which is, the idea for us is to make the impossible come true. Yeah. Because if we can make the impossible come true, then the child will never think that his illness is impossible. That's what we want to aim. So he thinks that anything is possible. So we have to make impossible things happen.
And this is true in the medical profession, in the medical life, in life.
Yes. It's about giving hope. If you can give them hope, if you can give them positive messages, positive thinking, then anything is possible. We've had great responses from children. We had a child in Adana in Turkey who was in intensive care, and when we have a rush wish, as we call it, we do it within like 48 hours, maximum 24 hours if we have to. So the child wanted to have a laptop. We gave him a laptop, and the volunteer went back into the hospital a couple of days later, and the room was empty. So she was terrified, went straight to the doctor and said, "What happened?" And the doctor said, "Well, really, it's quite a miracle, because after you came, he had his laptop, he slept with his laptop, and the next day, this child walked for the first time, talked for the first time in front of this doctor. He'd never seen him walk, he'd never seen him talk, and began to eat, and literally started to get better and went out of intensive care."
It has
Now,
such
that's
an
magic.
impact.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. It's like a miracle, basically.
Yeah, obviously we can't guarantee that, and obviously it's all up to the children, but it shows the power of a wish. And then the thing, the Make-A-Wish slogan around the world is "Share the power of a wish," which is a great saying in English. It doesn't quite translate in Turkish, unfortunately, with the same strength. However, that's the message, because it is so powerful. You give children hope. We had another little boy, the first wish I ever did, outside of before I was with the charity, a little boy who wanted to meet the footballers. We took him to the stadium and everything, and he met all of them, and he got the T-shirt, and the ball and the whole bit, the jersey, that's it. And then his mum was saying to me later on, because he came to Istanbul again, and she was saying, I've always been telling him how important he is, he needs to be strong, and he's very important, and just to build his confidence up, because it's all about confidence as well. And apparently after we did his wish, he went to his mum and he said, "You know what, I really must be important, because my wish came true." And that gets me every time I even tell that story, and I've been telling it for 5 years now, because that's it. That's exactly what we do. And that's really special. For me, that's what keeps me going. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do for the children. It's so powerful, and if we can... And it's so easy to do, really. It doesn't take much. It takes volunteers, it takes finance, and then you have it. You make children's dreams come true. And that can help them in the therapy.
Is it easy, though, to manage a foundation like Make-A-Wish?
Oh, well, no, it's not. It's really hard. It's really hard work. If you ask my husband, he's like, when's my wife coming back to me? Because I dream and live it 24/7. However, it's such a... It feeds your soul. I know, in Turkish, it's canım, I don't know what you say. It's like canım istiyor is when you want something, but it's like it feeds your soul. It really does feed your soul to do this, to know that you can make a child happy and give them something to cling on to for the future when they have such a struggle. I mean, these are children. They haven't even lived yet, and they're fighting just to live. We've done, thank God, touch wood, we've done it. So, what we can give back to give them, for me, it's like, I have to do this. I couldn't not.